May the words of my mouth and the meditations of our hearts be always acceptable in your sight, O Lord, our rock and our redeemer. Amen. To you, O Lord, I lift up my soul. My God, I put my trust in you. Each year, for this first Sunday in Lent, we hear the story of Jesus in the wilderness from either Matthew, Mark, or Luke. And this year, year B, we hear it from Mark, the briefest account of the three. And as with the other versions, Jesus is first baptized by John in the Jordan. The Spirit descends upon him, and God announces, "This is my Son, the beloved, with whom I am well pleased." And then, in Mark's version, the Spirit does not simply lead Jesus into the wilderness, but immediately drives him out into the wilderness, where we are told he was for 40 days, tempted by Satan, and he was with the wild beasts, and the angels waited on him. In Mark, we are not told any of the details of the temptations. And we often talk about wilderness as a place of unknowns, stripped of comforts and distractions. It can be a scary place or a time where one is totally out of one's element. And we have been keenly aware of wilderness as unknown, uncharted territory this past year. And we continue to think and speak in terms of our journey forward through wilderness, recalling the story of the Israelites' long journey from slavery through wilderness in order to eventually cross the River Jordan into the Promised Land, and using this as one image to draw upon through this time. And here we have Jesus's time of being in the wilderness, not necessarily physically traveling from point A to point B, but being in the wilderness. The Right Reverend Stephen Charleston, an elder of the Choctaw Nation, a bishop in the Episcopal Church, a former dean, professor, writer, looks at Jesus's experience in the wilderness as a form of a vision quest, with vision quest defined as a universal spiritual phenomenon, but one of particular importance within North American indigenous communities. Bishop Charleston actually identifies 4 for Jesus in the Gospels, with his experience in the wilderness being the first. And this wilderness experience speaks to a foundational Native American value, the need to enter into the we rather than the I. And Bishop Charleston writes, while there are variations on the theme of a quest and the many different traditions of Native America, there are some basic elements that are constant. And here, I would like to say it is these basic elements that I find helpful in reflecting on how we might intentionally focus our hearts during this season of Lent and our time of wilderness. In looking at these basic elements, I am in no way attempting to talk about the very sacred traditions of the vision quest. The first of the elements is a time of preparation, a planned movement towards the sacred, a time of prayer and purification, making oneself ready to come into the presence of the holy in a respectful way. For the second, there is the presence of others, supporters, a base of prayer, And this is important, Bishop Charleston notes, because the third element is the nature of the quest as a challenge. It is a time, it is a test of a person's endurance and resolve. Preparation and support are crucial because this is all so very demanding. And we all can attest to the importance of having a community of faith supporting us through such challenges and our gathering together in prayer time and time again, sharing our joys and our sorrows. And it is this which so strengthens our presence for others and that base of prayer. And the fourth element, lament or crying, Bishop Charleston notes, is difficult to translate. A quest begins in recognition that human beings are in need of help. It is not a test of how strong and brave a person can be, but rather how vulnerable he or she can be. So there are the basic elements of preparation, community, challenge, and lament. And I appreciate the bishop's note that Native American quest was pragmatic, designed to produce transformation. It was not a private, esoteric experience, but a way for seeding back into the community persons who understood both the spiritual nature of life and their role in it. And he shared about his own personal quest as a young seminarian on a rooftop in Boston. And he shared, "It cleansed me of many of my old assumptions, forced me into a new place of awareness, set me upon my course to confront myself and to learn more about the God I said I wanted to serve. It was a challenge in a lonely place, not just physically, but emotionally. And in our postmodern culture, people are in far too much of a hurry as it is. Transformation takes time." And he notes, transformation can mean a grounding into reality, not an escape from reality. It is not designed to reveal something hidden, but to alert us to something in plain sight. And we have seen things over this past year that have been in plain sight, but that we were missing in the busyness of our everyday lives. We have seen injustices as well as hidden blessings. And we have been forced to acknowledge that we are fragile and limited creatures, but we have also been reminded that there is something so much greater than ourselves, the reality of the sacred. And may we hold on to the belief that something wonderful happens when the two are brought together. Our preparation, our intention, and our prayer, our community of support and faith, the challenges of this time, as well as lament and recognition that we are human beings, resilient, yet vulnerable, and in need of help. May we be intentional in this time of preparation and prayer, our support for each other, and honor our times of grieving fragility, and humanity. To you, O Lord, I lift up my soul. My God, I put my trust in you. Amen.